Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books on this fine day in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, in eyesight of the English Channel. We hope everyone is happy and safe and well, and we're going to get right into it tonight. First, the Srimad Bhagavatamrta Stotram by Sanatana Goswami. Just a second, I'm correcting something. Don't mind, please. Yes. Srimad Bhagavatamrta Stotram from Sri Krishna Lila Stava, written by Sanatana Goswami, the most beautiful prayers glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam that I've ever heard. And they go like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarvalokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kali Dvandodita Ditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshak Shadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Manistadaga Madbhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhuta dayin, adini chochatakada, hanamun chagadachin mam, premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And now for the creme de la creme, the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, the cream of the Bhagavatam, which is the cream of the Vedic scriptures. Gopakumara has reached Dwarka, and Narada Muni has brought him aside to talk to him, because just as he noticed when he was in Vaikuntha that his face was not blissful, and everybody in Vaikuntha is blissful, so he took him aside and he talked to him and convinced him to go back to Braj, because he wanted to go to Vaikuntha. No, he wanted to go to Goloka. And so now Narada Muni met him again in Dwarka, and he sees the same thing. and he's in the middle of discussing with him the glories of Vaikuntha, trying to pacify his mind that he's in the best place. But as he's in the house of Uddhava, the conversation must turn to Goloka Vrindavan, which is the end goal. So now Gopakumar's mind is a little pacified. And so Narada Muni is going to change the channel. We're starting in text 77, chapter 5, Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Gopakumar is speaking. Gopakumar continued. After saying this, the sage, Narada Muni, was overwhelmed by the weight of love. Swept up, but in various ecstatic transformations, he remained silent a while. Then he spoke to me again, because he saw that I was troubled and keen for his instructions. Commentary. When Narada stopped, he felt ecstatic and showed symptoms like trembling, tears, and standing of the bodily hairs. But soon he noticed that Gopakumar was ill at ease and waiting for further instructions. Text 78. Sri Narada said, Dear devotee of Lord Gopal Dev, O son of a cowherd, far away from here lies the most exalted of all places, called Goloka. It is full of all splendor and beyond the borders of any of all other regions, including Vaikuntha. Commentary. Gopakumar is Gopal Dev Priya in two ways. Lord Gopal is dear to him, and he is dear to Lord Gopal. This is because Gopakumar is Gopanandana, a young cowherd boy from Sri Govardhan Hill. Goloka stands above all other spiritual planets because it is superior in every way. The Brahma Samhita states, 543, Goloka-namni nijadamni tale chatasya devi mahesha haridharmasu dharmasu teshu teshu te prabhava nichaya vihitas chayena govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Lowest of all lies Devidam, the mundane world. Next above it is Maheshdam, the abode of Mahesh. Above Maheshdam is Haridam, the abode of Hari. And above them all is Krishna's own realm, named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The 8 coverings of the universe over which Durga presides, and the abode of Lord Shiva in the Vaikuntha kingdom of Lord Hari, all stand below Goloka. Text 79. That same Goloka takes the form of the divine Brajabhumi of the district of Mathura. And the city of Mathura is also there, unable to stay apart from her own essence, Vrindavan and the other forests of Vrajabhumi. Commentary. According to this statement, Mathura is not separate from Vrajabhumi, like Ayodhya and other abodes of the Lord. One might ask, although the district of Mathura is non-different from Sri-Goloka, what about the city of Mathura? Mathura's city is Devi, in the sense that she is effulgent and splendid. And she is included in Goloka. Even though Mathura has her own distinct identity, she cannot bear to be apart from the forests of Brajabhumi. According to the spiritual geography of Goloka, the Mathura district includes Vrindavan and the other Braja forests, which are the most essential parts of Mathura. Text 80. Because the entire region of Sri Mathura is a land of cows, it is called Goloka. Although a confidential place, it is famous everywhere. Commentary. The transcendental abode that includes the city of Ayodhya is also called Ayodhya. Why then is the abode that includes the city of Mathura called Goloka rather than Mathura? The answer is that the entire Mathura district, with its city, towns, and forests, is full of cows. Furthermore, the Goloka of the spiritual world is famous by that name. The intimate pastimes of the personality of Godhead are a well-kept secret, but the name Goloka is known everywhere. Lord Indra, for example, refers to Goloka by name in his prayers to Sri Krishna in the Harivangsha. So there is no doubt, no reason to doubt the glories of Goloka on the grounds that it is an obscure, unknown place. Text 81. That abode can be reached only through the purest sentiments, in which one follows the sublime love held for Krishna by the residents of Braja. Commentary. Goloka can be reached only by prema, free of fault, untouched by jnana, karma, or any other material endeavor, and concentrated on the son of Nanda Maharaj. And to learn this kind of prema, one must carefully study the examples of Brajabasis like Nanda and Yashoda, and especially the ideal example of Sri Radha and her companions. Text 82. One can never achieve such pure love for the personality of Godhead by concentrating on his supreme power, because in that mood one invariably feels fear and reverence. Text 83. One achieves that love only by thinking of the Lord as one's ordinary dear friend. That love is higher than found in the material worlds and the outer coverings of the universe, and higher than in the spiritual kingdom beyond. Commentary. Only by considering Krishna one's lifelong friend in one of the spiritual relationships can a devotee rise to the level of the pure love known only in Braja. This Braja Prema is not an inferior version of love of God. It is not love in the mode of worldly affection. It is in fact superior to any feeling known in Loka, the 14 worlds of the material universes, Aloka, the elemental coverings of the universe, or Atiloka, the Vaikuntha planets beyond those coverings. Braja Prema is the essential nature of the highest of all worlds. The Lord who is its object is supreme, and the sweetness it embodies is also supreme. Text 84. Although that reciprocal affection seems to follow the ways of the ordinary world, it is beyond the world. It combines intimate sweetness, amazing opulence, and worldly simplicity. Commentary. Goloka's Lord and its residents care for one another as do people of the material world, yet their prema transcends the limits of mundane love. The loving dealings of Braja are like nothing ever seen in this world. When Mother Yashoda simply remembers Krishna, milk flows from her breasts, and Nanda Maharaj is constantly drenched in a flood of his own tears of love for Krishna. The cowherd men use everything they have, even their wives and children, only for Krishna's pleasure, never their own. And some of the old ladies of Braja adopt the mood of Yashoda, while others disguise themselves as their own young daughters to please Krishna. Krishna's friends are constantly desirous of seeing him, so much so that they cannot tolerate even the momentary obstruction caused by Krishna's passing behind a tree. And the blessed cowherd girls have no interest in life other than him, whether separated from him or going out to meet him or enjoying his company. They relish all sorts of extraordinary ecstasy. In these ways, the prema of Braja is most amazing and sweet, combining within itself the majestic opulence of the spiritual world and the simple sweetness of the material world. The devotees of Braja possess super-worldly opulence, and at the same time, they are most simple people. By their opulent power, they are expertly able to understand and take part in all the various aspects of the Lord's countless pastimes. And like ordinary people, the Brajbasis, as is well known from the accounts of their lives, enjoy food and drink, the company of friends and relatives, and so on. And even the personality of Godhead, though showing his opulence, shows it in the pastimes of an ordinary child. During his infant pastimes, for example, Krishna drank milk from the breast of Putana and sucked out the life air from that powerful witch, who had never suspected he could do so. And in countless other ways also, the Lord, though showing his opulence, acted like an ordinary human being. As the narration of Brhad Bhagavatamrta continues, this will all be thoroughly explained. With such ideas in mind, Sri Shukadev Goswami said, "In this way, the Supreme Lord, whose soft lotus feet are personally attended by the goddess of fortune, concealed his transcendental opulences by his internal potency and acted like the son of a cowherd. Yet even while enjoying like a village boy in the company of other village residents, he often exhibited feats only God could perform." Bhagavatam 10:15, 19. The word vidambayam in this 10th canto verse is a form of the verb vidam, to imitate, as a present participle, imitating. This participle form, however, can also sometimes mean for the purpose of, as it does here, for the purpose of imitating. Thus the verse can be construed to say that Krishna hides his supremacy, nirgudatma gati, by his own special potencies, swamayaya, for the purpose of imitating or assuming the nature of a cowherd boy, Gopiparanadhana. He hides his godly powers, atmagati, so that he can act like an ordinary human. But his absolute power is still discernible in the extreme limit of the perfect sweetness he displays in each of his pastimes. He enjoys having his feet massaged by the supreme goddess of fortune, and he does things only God can do, Isha Chestita. And yet he plays like an ordinary village boy, Gramya Bhat, in the company of other villagers. Text 85. In Goloka, the dealings between the Lord and his devotees increase their mutual love in a way not possible in Vaikuntha, the abode of supreme opulence. Commentary. Narada has said that Goloka lies far away from Vaikuntha, and now he explains why. The Supreme Lord simply cannot behave with his devotees in Vaikuntha with the same familiarity as in Goloka. Text 86. Ayodhya and Dwarka resemble Vaikuntha, but Goloka is even greater. Therefore, Krishna has arranged for it to be far away. Commentary. Ayodhya and Dwarka are somewhat secret portions of Vaikuntha. But as Gopakumar has already seen, they retain the basic Vaikuntha mood of reverence for the personality of Godhead's supremacy. Dwarka is far superior to Ayodhya, which is superior to the other Vaikuntha planets. But the superiority of both Ayodhya and Dwarka is due to their being even more opulent than the rest of Vaikuntha. Therefore, neither Lord Ramachandra in Ayodhya nor Lord Krishna in Dwarka is free to subordinate himself fully to the control of his devotees there, of his devotees' love. Text 87. In that most delightful abode, the residents share special pleasure pastimes with the Lord, in which they all realize the ultimate limit of sweetness. Commentary. Here Narada does not get specific about what makes the pastimes of Goloka unique. He refers to them only by mentioning Sukha Krida Vishesho Sao, that special kind of enjoyment. The pronoun asau, that, normally used to point out something visible but distant, indicates that those pastimes are beyond the power of words to delimit, and also that they are the fixed goal of all of Gopakumar's endeavors. Only in Goloka can the Lord and his devotees enjoy pastimes in which the servants and the served equally dominate one another. Text 88. Indeed, that world, I think, displays the complete essence of Lord Hari's most confidential godhood. Commentary. Goloka is even more splendidly opulent than Vaikuntha. Someone may doubt then how Goloka could appear like an ordinary place of the finite world. Despite this doubt, Sri-Goloka is factually the one spiritual realm where the Supreme Lord shows the essential perfection of his beauty, personality, and sporting pastimes. This highest perfection is also the most confidential mystery, which only a few fortunate souls are privileged to understand. Goloka holds the supreme position among all the Lord's abodes, for there the Lord constantly displays perfections never seen anywhere else. Goloka is greater than all other spiritual abodes, and Krishna in Goloka is greater than all other forms of Godhead. Krishna in Goloka is especially known as Hari, the Lord who steals the heart of everyone with his beauty, personality, and pastimes. Text 89. Standing above Vaikuntha, only Goloka, the unique crest jewel of all the worlds, can show such superlative glories. Commentary. Why is Goloka so glorious? Because it is the most perfect of all worlds. And why is that? because Goloka is even higher than Vaikuntha. Goloka stands above Vaikuntha because its excellences surpass those of Vaikuntha. Text 90. And the Goloka of the Mathura district within the material world is again so supremely great that no one can properly describe its astonishing glories. Commentary. Gokula, Goloka's direct expansion on earth, is also greater than Vaikuntha. Text 91. Please listen, dear friend. My unsteady tongue is itching to speak. I shall now uncover a jewel I have long kept stored in the treasure chest of my heart. Commentary. Narada considers his tongue too bold, but in fact, such eagerness to glorify Krishna is an admirable quality in him or anyone else. Narada, in any case, cannot check his tongue from disclosing more, and so he is going to describe something he has kept hidden in his heart for a long time. He has not disclosed this with anyone before. Text 92. When the personality of Godhead Krishna, Lord of Goloka, wants to enjoy his various pastimes of the highest pure love, at the end of a certain Dwapara age, he descends to the material world in that special place. He descends complete with all his partial expansions. Commentary. Beginning with this verse and continuing through text 172, that's 80 verses, folks. 80 verses. Beginning with this verse and continuing through text 172, Narada now describes the most confidential glories of Bhoma Vrindavan, Goloka's manifestation on earth. To prepare the grounds for establishing these glories, in texts 92 through 101, he first demonstrates the super excellences of the Lord of that abode. The current verse explains why and when Lord Golokanath appears on earth in Mathura, Gokula. The reason he descends is to satisfy his own desires. He is eager to taste the pleasures of supercharged prema. And the time he descends is during the final earthly years of Dwapara Yuga, the age from its dawn to its dusk lasts 2,400 years of the demigods. But as we know from authoritative scriptures, Krishna comes to earth not at the end of each Dwapara Yuga, but only during the 28th Dwapara Yuga of the 7th Manvantara, in a day of Brahma. In other words, once in a day of Brahma. Once every 8,600,000,000 years. What? And I'm here only 5,000 years after? Only 500 years after Lord Chaitanya? What? And I'm not ecstatic? How is that possible? Text 93 and 94. Though the Lord's personal expansions assume many different appearances, the Lord is one with them all. And that Lord suddenly abandons Vaikuntha and his other abodes. He abandons his things and his people of those abodes, and his own supreme power, and he leaves far behind his consort and servants like us, who were exclusively devoted to him and have no other shelter. Neglecting us all, he goes to the material world. Commentary. All the expansions of Vishnu are included within the original Godhead Krishna. Thus, when Krishna descends to Mathura Gokula in the material world, he takes all of his expansions with him. They are non-different from him, yet each of them also has his own individual identity. Is indicated by the word adikam and so on in the phrase Vaikuntha Lokadikam. When Krishna comes to earth, he leaves aside all his other abodes, from Indra's heaven up to Vaikuntha. He abandons his paraphernalia in those abodes, his ornaments, palaces, weapons, thrones, and as indicated by the second, and so on, in the phrase Tatratya Parichajadadin. Adin. He also leaves behind his servants and attendants. He loses interest in his innate powers like self-satisfied renunciation and puts them aside too. He even neglects the goddess Mahalakshmi and his eternal associates, not inviting them to accompany him even though they are exclusively devoted to him. Text 95. To enjoy a happiness unobtainable by any other company, he sports freely in the Braja of Sri Mathura with its residents, who have natures exactly suited to his own. Commentary. The purpose of Krishna's descent was mentioned in text 92 as his wanting to enjoy his various pastimes of the highest pure love. Tan maha prema bihara kamaha. This is further elaborated upon in the current verse. The devotees of Brajabhumi are able to satisfy Krishna by joining him in his favorite pastimes. Thus, the earthly Gokula sometimes displays perfections not found even in Goloka, in the spiritual sky. Text 96. By an abundance of his mercy, never disclosed before, he then becomes directly visible to the people of the universe who have the exceptional good fortune of firm devotion for him. Text 97. So it is that sometimes the Lord of Vaikuntha is not seen in Vaikuntha. You have found this out for yourself. Commentary. Sometimes Lord Narayana sneaks away from his abode to visit the material world, as Gopakumar discovered when staying in Vaikuntha. Text 98. Sages concerned with the history of various worlds therefore describe Lord Krishna in different ways. Some say he is the master of Vaikuntha, and others the thousand-headed Purusha. 99 and 100. Some sages think that the Lord who was descended in Mathura city is Lord Narayana, the friend of Nara. Others think him Lord Vishnu, and yet others Lord Keshava, who lies in the ocean of milk. Thus the followers of progressive Vedic culture describe Krishna's descent each in accord with his own understanding, from what they have ascertained about the Lord's supremacy and his sweetness and his other qualities. Commentary. The great sages of the Vedic culture are all individuals, each with his own spiritual realizations and opinions, which are reflected in the mantras of the Vedas. In the Vedic hymns, we hear the sages' various understandings of who Krishna is. In accordance with such statements as Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, some think that it is the Lord of Vaikuntha who incarnates in Mathura city. Others quote Sahasra Shirsha Shirasham Brahma Loka Didashtaram Loka Dishtataram. The Lord with thousands of heads rules over the planet of Brahma. And identify Krishna with the 1,000-headed form of Lord Vishnu. Still others, following his reading of a verse from the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam, 4.1.59, consider Krishna an incarnation of Nara Narayan, the sons of Dharma and Murti. These two partial incarnations of Nara and Narayan, the supreme personality of Godhead, have now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Krishna and Arjuna to mitigate the burden of the world. Yet other sages say that Krishna is the same Lord Keshava who lies in the ocean of milk. They cite as evidence for their understanding the words of the Bhagavatam 2.7.26, Sita Krishna Kesha, which some commentators explain to mean that Lord Kshirodakashayi Vishnu created Balarama and Krishna from 2 strands of his own hair, one white, Sita, and the other black, Krishna. Lord Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is called Keshava because his hair is especially beautiful. And the Vishnu Purana 5.160 states more explicitly, Ujaratmana Keshau, Ujaharatmana Keshau, Sita Krishna Mahamune. O great sage, the Lord pulled out 2 of his own hairs, one white and one black. Srila Rupa Goswami, however, in his Bhagavatamrta 155 through 164, gives the definitive understanding of these passages about the hairs. He says that Krishna has beautiful black hair, Krishna Kesha, which is always nicely combed, Sita. And since the Lord has an extremely youthful form, he never appears old enough to have white hairs. Each sage, having focused his attention on a particular aspect of the Supreme Lord's glories, has realized a particular form of the Lord in meditation. So the sages naturally describe as having descended to earth as Krishna the particular form of the Lord they have realized. Since all the expansions of Godhead with their individual features are included within Krishna, technically there is no fault in saying that one of Krishna's expansions has come to earth and become Krishna. In effect, however, what all this indicates is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all other forms of God emanate from him. One might ask how these all-knowing sages can have so many different opinions about Krishna's identity. This is not difficult to explain. The sages speak according to their own realizations, and authorities discuss whichever aspect of the Supreme Lord they understand. But shouldn't such knowers of the revealed scriptures be able to understand the full reality as it is? Yes, but they are Aryas, which can be understood to mean men of simple intelligence. The subtle logic that analyzes the identity of Krishna is too difficult for them to comprehend. Or, taking this idea of simplicity a different way, the sages know very well the truth about Krishna, but they express their views as they do because they assume, thinking simply, that glorifying any one of the Lord's incarnations glorifies all the incarnations. Hare Krishna. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. So we've been getting up to bed a little late. Both me and Sham Kishore are a little frayed around the edges. We want to get to bed on time tonight, so we're going to stop tonight at 8 o'clock. And from now on, we will also. I can report that the proof hearing of the CC audiobook is going along very nicely, but there's a lot to do, a lot. And we only have until the 29th of this month to finish the part that I must be there for, meaning the proof hearing and also the dub-ins that need to be done. So, yeah, it's an intense pressure, actually. But I get my relief from this hearing with you and being with you, the Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Any reflections, comments?
This is from Brhad Srila.
Hey Brhad, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada. Are there different sections to Goloka where different pastimes unfold?
Yes, there are actually. But it's different. Here, we're confined by time and space. And time is defined by past, present, and future. So, even when Krishna comes here, he agrees to follow that law of nature that his expansion created. Right? So therefore, he only is in one place at a time, externally, to people's eyes. But he also never leaves Vrindavan, even when he goes to Dwarka. It's an expansion of his. But that expansion that stays is invisible. Sometimes Prabhupada call it the bhava expansion. It means he's there, but he's in his apakrit form. And no one except persons who have that apakrit qualifications can see him. So when he's Goloka, Vrindavan, he can be in many places as he wants, all at once. And he can be doing different things at once. Like he did show that opulence when he married 16,108 queens, when he danced with so many thousands of gopis, 16,108 gopis. Well, there were more, but those were the prominent ones. And he could be with them, and he was with them, each simultaneously at the same time. In other words, each one of them saw that they were with Krishna alone. So that's what Krishna can do. So he showed the opulence in the material world, but only some people could understand it. But in Goloka Vrindavan, he can be many places, doing many things at the same time, without restriction of time and space. So when we talk about Goloka Vrindavan having different places with different pastimes, it isn't like here, but it is true. But it's not like here, and therefore it's very difficult to understand that level of opulence of Goloka Vrindavan. Just like it said that Krishna, when he comes, all the expansions come with him. So he leaves Vaikuntha, he leaves this Vaikuntha planet, that Vaikuntha planet, and he comes. But as we already heard, Gopakumar talking about how he left sometimes Brahmaloka or sometimes Vaikuntha, but he would come right back. That 125 years, is not a big deal to Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan, or even in the higher planets. So my point I'm making is that the opulences of Krishna and the powers of Krishna are inconceivable to us. But by the grace of Lord Chaitanya and the grace of his most intimate followers, especially our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, we can understand something about this, even though we're perfectly and completely unqualified. And that is something to fix our minds on, so that we can feel ecstatic all the time, even when our mind's going crazy, or the obstacles to doing what we want to do in devotional service are sometimes presented very strongly in front of us. I've heard, and I'm just repeating now what I've heard, that Krishna sometimes has pastimes in Goloka. Anyway, I'm going to leave the rest of that answer to that question for the later parts of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, because we need to hear between then and where we are now before we discuss that topic. Hare Krishna.
This is from Ben Shaw.
Hare Krishna Bhakta Ben.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble
Nice to have you back. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I've heard before that there are aspects of Krishna manifest in Bhuma Vrindavan that aren't in the spiritual world. Have I heard correctly? And if so, how can it be?
According to Jiva Goswami, in his Sandarbhas, that's not actually true. How that happens, I am not qualified to explain. But if you can hear from authority, you can understand that something that's happening in Goloka-Vrindavan, which we're going to hear later on. Later on, we're going to find out how Gokula and Goloka, or in other words, Vrindavan on earth and Vrindavan on Goloka in the spiritual world, are the same. They're exactly the same places. So what some people say about that issue is according to their imperfections. They say these things, I have heard. But what the scriptures say is that there's no difference. And later on we'll find out when Gopakumar, now he's met the Brahmana, Radharani told him to come and meet the Brahmana and give her mercy to him. And the interesting thing is that both Gopakumar and the Brahmana he's teaching end up being cowherd boys. Even though Radharani is giving her mercy. So these things that devotees say sometimes, some of them may be just immature, or some of them may be not completely informed yet, reconcile. It's all reconciled in Goloka Vrindavan. If you want to read a purport which will explain this in depth, you can read the purport to verse 37 in the Brahma Samhita. It's available. And there, Jiva Goswami will explain how it is that Goloka and Gokul are the same. And that any difference is simply due to the vision of the person who's looking. Hare Krishna.
But Prabhupada said, Krishna blows my mind, then blows my mind again.
Yes. And when your mind's completely blown, you'll go back and see him.
Anandamurti Devidasi.
Hare Krishna Anandamurti, Haribo.
Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your reading, Seva. Today I carefully listened about your reading. Today I understand that Vrajabhumi is the highest. Today I'm also listening with Bhaktin Hiromi.
Hare Krishna Bhaktin Hiromi. Nice to know that you're there.
Please accept, I think that's from Bhakti Nirumi. Please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada. I will do my best in English. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being there.
That's it. Ben Shaw said, thanks, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Bhakta Ben. Oh, I don't have my watch.
Rati Manjay said, Jai Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Rati.
Gopakanya Devidasi said, Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj and all friends, the lovers of Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and your transcendental daily readings, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I really need to get to bed early because we have to do 5 hours a day between now and the 29th to get what we have to get done. And that's not an easy thing to do because there's so many things that come up and so many obstacles. So I thank you very much for your loving association and for your cooperation and for your understanding. Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same ecstasy. The creme de la creme de la creme. Hari Bo. See you then.